Hey everybody, I'm going to share something from the book Sweat the Technique by Rakim. The source called him the greatest lyricist of all time. He's a rapper for the iconic rap group Eric B. and Rakim. But this part of the book is called Enter the Zone. I'm just going to read to you what Rakim wrote here. What's intriguing, mystical, and unpredictable about being an artist is that you can't always explain how some things work. But artists know about this certain mood, this zone you can get into where that seems impossible becomes possible. Sometimes it's like the total opposite. You can't write even a phrase that day, let alone a song, and you know it. But when you're in the zone, it's like the ideas and the words wouldn't stop. You want me to write another one today? And you know the difference. So you try to lean over to that creative side where things are flowing. You always try to tap into that. And sometimes you tap into that side where it's flowing, but you tapped into something where you're getting information that you would normally not have known. I believe that some of the people who have achieved game-changing, groundbreaking innovations in music have similar stories about pushing themselves to the height of their creativity. They reach a place where all of a sudden not only are you fluent at what you do, but now thoughts are coming to you that you never thought before. And I'm speaking from personal experience. In those moments, answers come to me that I've never thought about before, and concepts come to me that I've never even would have imagined. That's when I feel I am in the zone, and I am a vehicle for something greater than I know and understand. Divine universal consciousness is a source of information that's stored deep in the mind. For the most part, it's almost like everything that exists in the universe is in one place, and you can tap into it and get information from it that you may not have known before. I believe a realm of intelligence exists around us. We just have to know how to access it. The place I'm talking about exists. There are things we don't know, but we already know. Here's the perfect example. Long before we're born, before the sperm and egg join, the sperm knows exactly what to do. Be the first one to that egg. It knows exactly what to do from the beginning. How does that work? That's nature. It's divine nature. It's divine consciousness. How to get there? Nobody knows, and ain't nobody supposed to know. Some people meditate to get to this consciousness. It's why people say, I'm trying to reach the vibe, meaning they're trying to reach that vibration and frequency where their mind is clicking on all cylinders. When it happens in sports, an athlete says, I can't explain what happened. I was in the zone, and I just started hitting every shot. Right. They can't really explain it, but it's like they found perfection. It's magic. Can't explain magic, yet people say, make magic, or they try to express what happened in the studio as it's like magic. I came in and everything was just right. A lot of people experience that but don't know what it is. They just think, wow, my pen was flowing that day. Imagine you're playing basketball. You shoot a jump shot and you try to shoot the same way every time. You try to jump and land in the same spot every time. You alter your approach to achieve this. So your body has to make adjustments. Your mind has to make adjustments. Everything has to be in tune. Your touch on the ball, your radar to the rim, your mathematical calculations. Everything has to be in sync. That's one of those places where you can find yourself sometimes. A moment when everything is in tune. When your body is in tune with your mind. Everything is working at once. You're in this place that is hard to achieve normally because you're not normally going to hit 50 points every night. And you're not going to write a hit song every time you walk into a studio, or a best-selling book every time you sit down with a pen and paper. So when you do get there, you know the stars were aligned. Everything was perfect. You weren't letting anything physical interfere with your mind. Your body did everything perfectly and everything beyond the unimaginable. That's bliss. That's tranquility. Divine universal consciousness is a mystical place that doesn't exist, but it does. And trying to understand it is one of the things that makes artists great. This unknown is what makes us push ourselves to try to be out of this world. When they say man has no resources to get certain information, and yet he somehow comes up with it mentally, some believe it's because he tapped into the divine consciousness. It's the place people tap into when they're in the zone. Basically, you need to know which to know exists in this realm of consciousness. It's shown and proven by people who manage to come up with information they have no ways of getting. Moses said a bush spoke to him and told him to write the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments, when you think about it, are basic principles. At the time, they weren't known, but they were needed. And all of them were solutions to problems. I have to think that the voice Moses heard was in his head. I can imagine him thinking, what can help make things better where I'm from? We have to change the way people think and act. Okay, thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not commit adultery. These really were nothing out of this world. Somebody just needed to tap into a universal source of knowledge that would be useful for everyone. And for the most part, knowledge is something that empowers people as a whole or does something for the greater good of humanity. The universal source of knowledge is the place where some say Nostradamus came up with his many predictions and where Albert Einstein figured out his concepts on relativity. These people all had to be tapping into a divine source, and the results are just confirmation that exists. Not to suggest I wrote the manual to rocket ships, but a lot of things I came up with in my rhymes were me tapping into something outside myself. To be truthful, I knew what was within my reach, and I would sit down and write a rhyme and come up with things that were beyond my reach. The more you do this again and again, the more you're aware of it, and the more you try to tap into that source of knowledge. I always went to the studio not knowing what I was going to do, but to impress myself means I did something I didn't plan on doing. And to be truthful with myself, I always felt it was something I was tapping into. I used to feel that things were being presented to me. Of course, everyone has certain expectations of him or herself when it comes to their area of expertise. Your ego is telling you this is what you do. So you push yourself and you do your thing. But you know what you're capable of regardless of what your ego is telling you, what people say you can do, and what people expect from you. I guess when I exceeded my expectations is when I found myself in the zone and I got information I felt I normally wouldn't have known. Things came to me that I wouldn't have thought about reaching for. Whenever I experienced that, I just felt the information was from a higher power, a higher consciousness. It sounds mystic to say, yeah, I wrote that, but I didn't write that. But sometimes it's the truth. I know what I'm capable of, and sometimes ideas came to me and it was like, what is this? Why am I thinking of this right now? And when it comes, and then it makes sense. A good example is when I wrote Casualties of War. When I got the track, it sounded like war to me, so I started writing the track. I've never been to war, but I started writing the track and the bars just started coming to me. I knew what I was trying to do, but then something starts telling me to say this, mention this. And it just so happened that some of the things I wrote about in my song Casualties of War in 1992 actually happened in September 11, 2001 at 8:45 a.m. On 9/11, I was at home in Connecticut watching the news on television with live coverage of the World Trade Center's towers burning. The phone rang and I answered it. It was Al Starr, a friend from California. Raw, go on the internet. For what? Go on the internet. Yo, what is going on? I'm watching the news and I can see the World Trade Center on fire. Yo, I know, but go on the internet. They are talking about the Twin Towers burning down and they are posting a quote from you on there. Back in the day when you went on the internet, there was dial-up. And when you signed on to AOL, all the news popped up, news of the day. The first thing that popped up that day was a story about the Twin Towers. Next to that were my photo and quote from Casualties of War. The news story had listed several quotes, including, "'Cause it ain't no way I'm going back to war when I don't know or who I'm fighting for." But the main reference from the song was the part where I said, "Those who suffer from the U.S. attacks in Desert Storm were going to come back for revenge and hit the Twin Towers." So I wait for terrorist attack. Every time a truck backfires, I fire back. I look for shelter when a plane is over me. Remember Pearl Harbor? New York will be over, G. Kamikazes strapped to bombs. No peace in the East. They want revenge for Saddam. Did I hear gunshots or thunder? No time to wonder. Somebody's going under. I wanted to do a song about the casualties of war. I did what I do. I got lost in my work. And when I got into this world of the world of the subject I was writing about, I went deeply into what it would mean to truly be at war. As a writer, you look for anything and everything to talk about, but sometimes something hits you like bang when you weren't really looking for that. Moments before, you were thinking, I know I am how I'm going to approach this. I want to take it to this. But then something presents itself. It's almost like having a math problem in front of you and you have no idea how to answer it. Then all of a sudden it just starts answering itself in front of you when you don't know the answer. That divine source of power will give you information that you have no knowledge of. And this is the only way I can explain how I wrote Casualties of War and the way it was written. In the case of writing rhymes in general, you try to block everything out and focus in on what you're doing. The more focused, inspired, and passionate you are, the greater the possibilities. Setting the room helps set the mood. And that's what you're trying to do. You want to reach that point of creativity where it's just flowing. No distractions, with the room comfortable like you want it. You're trying to get to that place where everything is 10 times more exaggerated. You want to get to that level where you're at your highest point for expressing your art. Tap into it. So once again, that was from Rakim's book. The title of this book is called Sweat the Technique. The part of this book that I just read is called Enter the Zone. It starts on page 205 in the book. If you like this video, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a message about your favorite Rakim song. Maybe you've seen him in concert, or some things you like about Rakim. Peace.